You're listening to Decay Mag Sessions. Exclusive interview. Filmmaker Loren W. Lepre.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken R2's founder for Decay Mag, and you are listening to Decay Mag Sessions, a podcast dedicated for our exclusive interviews with industry leaders, filmmakers, writers, musicians, composers in the field of horror, thriller, and science fiction. This week, well, actually, on January 8th, in the evening of, I had the opportunity to speak with filmmaker Loren W. Lepre. He is a filmmaker, Philadelphia native, pro wrestler turned MMA fighter, turned actor, turned filmmaker. Mr. Lepre is CEO and founder of Freedom Shorts and Average Superstar Films. He also spearheads the film festival titled Liberty Massacre. In this interview, we're going to be discussing Mr. Lepre's upcoming film, The Dark Military. Please visit our website, decaymag.com, DECAYMAG.com. Be sure to catch future episodes for Decay Mag Sessions and our main podcast, which is a weekly podcast on Google Music, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. And if you have an Alexa device or Google Home, simply ask the commands to play Decay Mag Podcast for your home device. Here's a soundbite off of the trailer for The Dark Military, and following that would be our exclusive interview with Mr. Lepre.
This man's gonna die.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken R2's founder for Decay Mag. Joining me this evening is filmmaker Loren W. Lepre, and we are going to be discussing his latest release, The Dark Military. Thank you, Mr. Lepre, for your time this evening, and hope you are staying warm. And this East Coast has been freezing this past few days.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on, Ken. And yeah, it's been pretty much pure terror. This is a horror movie here right now, the last week here. It's been basically like between 0 and 10 for like the last 7 days until today. But, you know, I don't really mind that. But when you put the extra wind on it, yeah, I buckle. So we've kind of all been hiding inside.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. It is raining and snowing here in New York City, so imagine I'm not a happy camper right there.
Yeah, it went up to 32, so you know we practically wanted to today. So we practically wanted to put shorts on, you know. But yeah, I think it's about to end in a few days. I heard it's going to like cross the 40 mark again, so we can kind of get back to reality.
Well, I certainly hope so. I'll welcome even 40-degree weather.
Yeah, one day I hope to live on an island and never have to worry about this again. But for now, game on.
Well, I like to start off each interview with an origin story for those listening out in the audience who are unaware of your career and what your contributions to the horror genre. Please, the platform is open to share your origin story.
All right, an origin could take a really long time, but I would basically just kind of give a brief synopsis here. I actually just wanted to be a professional wrestler when I was younger. And by the time I was 20 years old, I was in the wrestling business. For anybody who's a wrestling fan, if you guys remember the ECW wrestling, I was kind of helping some of the promoters. This is back the 90s. I was helping promote. How was I helping promote? I would get a hold of the local colleges because that was our target audience, and really plug the shows, get them to talk about it. And there was no web. So what we used to do, and we were basically the stormtroopers, we were expendable. We would basically climb into colleges and start flooding flyers, and security would come chasing us out because we had no permission to do that whatsoever. So I basically started in wrestling there, and then I started being a manager in wrestling, and then found myself in the ring a lot. And then by 2004, I started converting more into the MMA, and little by little, it just didn't happen. I just never went pro. And by accident, in 2010, basically, everybody's got a little bit of a bucket list. And I said, I want to be in a movie, and there was flyers during this zombie crawl on Easter in Philadelphia. And it said, they need extras for zombies. No pay, but we'll feed you, and, we'll feed you, we'll throw you beer, and we'll have a good time. So we did. And I went up there, and they had all this food laid out, good food. And a movie was called Reunion, directed by Jeff Stewart. And while I was there was like 40 of us, and it was just a blast. And they were just filming in a garage the entire time. We barely saw anybody. But we were out there for 6 hours getting in makeup and just partying it up. So finally, at the end of the movie, they bring us in the garage, and they go, all we need you to do is walk towards the camera and, be zombies and spit blood and growls. We did that like 4 times, and they're like, all right, you're wrapped, you're cut, thank you. And when that happened, I got chills, and I was like, I ran up to the director and the rest of the team. I'm like, I'm not done. And they're like, what do you mean you're not done? They're like, oh, I want to do more. And they're like, well, the movie's wrapped. I was like, well, I want to be an actor now. They're like, have you acted in anything? Or do you have any acting lessons? I'm like, no. So they're like, you better go do that and then come back and see us. So I went into the Walnut Street Theater in Philadelphia. Walnut Street Theater in Philadelphia is the oldest acting school in America. It holds up very well on your resume. So I went there for a couple semesters and came out swinging. So I acted basically in the tri-state area, largely all Philadelphia. And I've been in about 80 movies acting. And one thing about the Philadelphia area, like the independent anyway, they have a bad problem of not pushing anything. That's why if I start yelling out any titles, you'd be like, what? No, I never heard of that. You'd have to literally go to my IMDb. So that got me a little frustrated. And, there's a lot of people that get frustrated and they start their own film companies. And when I started mine, I said I'd make some short films. And basically, your short films are, when you start, your F-up stage. This is like what I like to call it. Nobody really comes out with a short film right off the bat and hits a major home run, unless they had access to red cameras and really, bit down at film school. So I did a few of them. And then I started running my 2 short film events called Freedom Shorts. That's every genre, style of film. I've been running that the last 5 years out of the Trocadero in Philadelphia. And I started Liberty Massacre, which is something I'm sure we could all talk about. And that's all the horror movies, short films that I've been screening for the last 5 years as well. And I built up a network after 7 years. And that's where I came up with the idea for the Dark Military. And it was about 9 years of, 9 months of pre-production. I did about, I think it was 19 drafts over the course of 9 months, because I really never called myself a scriptwriter. And the people I align myself with, there's no BS, there's no coddling. Like, that's a lot of things. A big problem, I think, in film is, oh, you did your best, we're just going to roll with it. Like, no, like they would circle, you said this 5 times. Or see this right here, you already did this once, you don't need to do it twice. They throw the script back in my face and be like, fix it. So after about, all those drafts, I got a hell of a script I stand behind. The team came together. I had about 70 actors, and off we went, and we shot for 8 straight days. knocked it all out. And as we were editing within a year, we decided, it'd be kind of cool if we had a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So we went back and we shot 2 more days added on. And we knocked out 3 edits so far. And we're about to do a 4th one to really bite down before we start looking for distribution. But right now, the film is currently being reviewed by people like you. And right now, it's also on its Film Fest trend.
Cool.
Origin.
Thank you for the origin story, and I find it quite fascinating that you took on something. It was a dream, and you just went with it, and now you're living the dream. Most people would contemplate for a while with themselves. They sit down, they start contemplating, and they waste time. You just took the initiative and went straight forward. So this is your full-time passion?
Yeah, that's kind of like I'd have to say it's in my family bloodline. We're very blue collar, and to top it all off, like I said, my area hasn't been like the best with pushing their film. So like how I can't just make a film and then sit back too. You can't say like, hey, everybody else isn't like pushing the way they should. And I don't mean that picking on them. I just mean, from the area I'm from, there's a lot of like, hey, we'll make a movie, we'll screen it once, high five, hand the next script, and off they go. Like the Dark Military is, in a lot of film festivals across the world. Like you gotta finish your plate. You gotta push the film that you have. And I am very passionate about it. And I feel I owe my producers, I feel I owe 70 of my cast members and the crew from giving me their time. And most of all, myself and Steve Carino, who also produced, and everybody knows is my right-hand man. I can't speak enough about him. We put a lot of time into this, and we owe it to us, to get this done right. So, yeah, it's a dream, and you just can't stop. That's all it is a dream. You strike out, you got to keep going. You got to get back up and keep hitting the ball,
Oh, absolutely. I definitely agree on that. Especially in this business, you have to be tough skin, and B, just keep on going. If you fail once, you do it until you keep on and you succeed. That's the name of the game here.
Without a doubt. And when you serve many masters, you're going to have a lot of praise, and you're also going to have sometimes you're going to get a target on your back. Look at any person at all in Hollywood. You post a picture of them. There's high praise. Hey, I love you and this and this and this. And then there comes the hate club who don't even know you. It's just like we live in a world of kill the celebrity. And when you're going to take on a role as a film director, you better be ready for some bullets worldwide. So that is what's called being a leader. That's what truly being a director is. When you see people like cave and they're going crazy on social media and fighting back in post, like, to me, those directors have failed. If you can't handle pressure, imagine if you go A-list, then you're going to really have the world, chiming in on. You got to be ready to take it. You got to know how to take it. You got to let things, let it roll off you. There's no perfect person in this world, and there's no one that likable.
Yeah, you can't please everybody, and of course, as you mentioned, you gotta have the haters online, which have no idea how the time that goes into creating a film, the energy, and you could just go down the list on YouTube and you see all these dumbass remarks those people on YouTube are just, no one in the world would accept them, and they go to YouTube to die. That's what it is about those people in those comment sections. Some of the stuff I see written, that's why my trailer's not really on that. I have everything on Vimeo. Number one, top it all filmmakers should have their trailers on Vimeo. It's just a better site. It's more director friendly, and the quality's just a lot better than YouTube. But some of the stuff I see on any trailer, you could put any trailer up and it'll have like 20,000 thumbs down in 2 seconds. You're just like, do you even watch this? It just got posted. It's just like, I never understood a lot of that. I separate myself. I just got cable after 7 years. That's how off the grid I was. And I'm not a guy that had Netflix or any of that. I just had a Blu-ray player hooked up to a
a flat screen. That's how off the grid I am. And sometimes I hear like someone's like, this person's kind of chewing up your film. They're like, where do they live? Ireland. Whatever. Whatever. So you got to be able to take it. My big thing is if I read a review, if they're like saying, there's not enough violence, or I was expecting this, expecting that. That is no problem. I have zero problem with that. But sometimes you get like, the pronunciation. I'm a person who should be saying this because I'm not that good at that great either. But didn't use the proper pronunciation, or they gave away spoilers. And sometimes I'm like, you realize you can't do that? Or maybe they took their own screenshots, and you send them screenshots sometimes. I send screenshots all the time. So they're the ones you are authorized to use. Anything else is like your copyright infringement. Right. And I'm like, I'm not chasing these people, but they're wrong. So this kind of shows, when you're having your film reviewed, you just got to hope that like the person treats it with respect, and, also I always say for someone who's reviewing a film, if you destroy a film, well, then you post it on your own site. That's fine. But keep in mind, if you've destroyed the film and that film does have a following, they're not going to post it. And if they're not posting it, you're not reaching a bigger audience. So if you're not reaching a bigger audience, it's like you kind of shot yourself in the foot. And I'm not telling you can't put a film down, but do it in a professional way.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to like critique it, not that you're attacking. Like some people get brutal, I watch sometimes, but for the most part, I would have to say my film's been very well reviewed. I'm really happy with everything. You get a couple things in there, but I mean, hey, look what happened to The Last Jedi. So
let's not even. I just finished watching that film over the weekend. Totally disappointed. Disappointed. Oh God. That's a topic for a different discussion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I really gasped hard and almost cried when Princess Leia was in space. That I was just like, oh my God. It was this, but yeah, let's stay off of Star Wars right now. I don't want to cry. But that's what I'm just saying, though. I mean, it's when you really think about it, right? Like we all loved the early Halloweens. We all loved the early Friday the 13th. What happened as they kept going? They got more criticized. It seems like the vintage ones are the ones we really like, and then there's time goes on, Michael Myers is getting beat up by Busta Rhymes. Okay?
Right? Yeah.
We don't need that.
We don't. I did not see the logic in that myself.
Yeah. So, and I get their logic. Hey, he was a name at the time. Let's put him in a movie. What's he gonna do? But just as a horror fan, you don't want to see that. You just don't. It's hard. It's hard because a lot of these films, after a while, we're living in a world where everyone wants to hit the reboot button, and that kind of saddens me. But I completely understand why they do it. Any of those films, from It, Friday the 13th, to Halloween, they already have their following, so it's kind of a guaranteed home run if they drop $10 million into it and it flips for 30. Well, okay, they made their profit. But for someone like myself and all the other, horror or whatever, independent, straight across the boards, directors or screenwriters, we got all these great ideas, and it's so hard to get them to see it. It just is. And so every time they hit the reset button in one of those movies, like It, and notice I just kind of plugged it twice, so I'm kind of saying I'm not a fan of that. It was rebooted. I did not see it. I did hear it was amazing. But the simple fact that a movie like that made whatever $200 million, well, now they're just going to keep the Stephen King vault going. Let's just recycle everything. And it kind of saddens me. And, I feel bad for everybody else that has a good idea. And why risk some indie guy's film when this brand's already made? Has already been made.
Yeah, exactly right. And
yeah, so it saddens me. I can't tell. Then, as far as you could say, what's a good movie? If those movies remakes are good or not? Well, the jury's out. you know?
Exactly. But the way I see it is Hollywood has their own thing going. They're into the superhero bullshit. It is up
Yep.
to the indie filmmakers. They are really paving the way. Filmmakers such as yourself are really paving the way with innovative social commentary. I've seen a rise in social commentary in the indie scene that it is unbelievable. And your film does convey social commentary, and it strikes me as surprising because you just mentioned that you were off the grid for a few years, but yet you conveyed a message on social media and the influences on video with the masses. Can you care to explain that social commentary?
I saw that comment, the third act speech. Yes, thank you for that comment. And also, thank you for being the first person that pointed that out. But yeah, I've always just said like that. It's true that like the world's just, brother. When I grew up, I just sat in my backyard and I dug a hole and I sat there with a stick and I daydreamed. Where is that? Are there any sticks left in the world? Like, I think they all been like recalled for lead paint. Like, I just think like we're in such a, why can't a kid just be told stand still? Why do you got to hand a 4-year-old a cell phone? Make he or she sit there and daydream, keep your hands to yourself and just sit there. I just think the world is so, they just love that 3 seconds of glory. Like, hey, I made a post today and I got 35 likes. I just like, is that what you're living for? Because that's just kind of sad. And that's why I bring that up in the movie of how, the world gets distracted easy. You all saw this. I'm trying not to really give too much away, but hey, you saw all this coming. We told you we were coming. And I bet instead of helping, all you did was sit on social media. Like that was like a big thing. It's just like, who's really helping anybody? Everything that went on in Hollywood or any major topic that goes on when they attack the president, are you doing anything to stop or change anything? Or are you just posting it in your newsfeed and arguing with your own friends and family, which makes no sense at all?
Exactly. Right. And that is the downfall of social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It becomes a monster in itself. It has its own benefits. Of course, for the film industry, independent filmmaker, we need the publicity, free publicity. But at the same time, you have these negative influences that you sit back and you look at it like, why isn't anybody like using it for good reasons?
Yeah, I sometimes when a bad topic comes up, just mean like a celebrity did something, like I'm gone for like a couple days. Like I don't want to be around it because if it's too negative, I'm off the grid. Like there's times I've sat in my house and I've not had a sound, no music, no television for like 3-4 days in a row. Like I could do that and just let my mind, let the Zen frickin', kind of tell me what to do, you just gotta like know when to turn that off. Because when you can start, I just kind of feel the world should be, I think we'd all be a lot off better if we went silent for a little bit instead of just amping up and wanting to chime in on everything. I think the world has, especially in Hollywood, I mean, celebrities are like this huge, like, they don't want to hear about you. They wouldn't want to hear about your show. They're just waiting to talk about themselves. It's like weird. And, that's just what the world we kind of come to, It's kind of sad. So, like, I try to, when someone's trying to teach me something, if I think of its own value, they got my attention and I'll ask questions.
Absolutely, yes. And you definitely hit the nail on the head with that comment. And also, you described the length of time that you took to write the script. Was any much of a challenge with the first idea that you had for the Dark Military and the end result that we see now, which is going to release to the public soon? What were the challenges in crafting that script?
Here was some of the things with the script that I was said, like, I want to be clever with, and also a lot of no-nos. Like, I never understood girls tripping in horror movies. Okay, so that was not going to happen in my movie. All right, that was a very big thing. I've always been agitated with horror movies where there's a jerk in the movie that you can't wait to see him die. You know, like he's just like, he's with the good guys, but he's being a jerk. You can't wait for him to go. And not saying, kind of giving a spoiler, I have a jerk in my movie, and by the end of the movie, you really love him. You know, I want to reverse that. I've also always been about, like, you always see a guy push his girlfriend ahead, and it's like, go, 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 and he sacrifices himself. Yeah, that's beautiful and loving. I want to see a reversal in that. And I did that in my movie. Like, hey, the girl kind of saved her boyfriend. There was a lot. I definitely just wanted also, not stunningly to this audience and probably yourself, this Aliens is one of my favorite movies of all time. And there's that one part of the movie about 40 minutes in where, you know, a large portion of the Marines get killed. And I said, I love how that was done, because you got even though they were kind of more of the expendable guys, you got to know them a little bit. So I never was a big fan of Friday the 13th where, as much as I love it, that where Jason's just walking around the woods and there's a couple making love and you didn't even get their names. And they got killed. So I wanted a name for every bit of the prey in this movie. So that's why the first 22 minutes of the film, it needs to be fast. And I want everybody to know the audience to know their name, and kind of, you notice. And I also didn't want people to be the same. You know, you had your goths over here. You know, you had your testosterone ego guy over there with his girlfriend that's kind of annoying. You had your punks. You know, I kind of wanted to give a little bit of everybody that someone could relate to. You know, there was kind of like they're all divided in their little teams that everybody could relate to, because there's 26 deaths in this movie. And one thing about writing this movie, when you got 5 killers, that was what, you know, going back what you asked about the script, I can't have all these people kill one person. That's not enough when there's a team. There needs to be a lot. So you're trying to write all these people in, not just to be stormtroopers. You know what I'm saying? They got to be people, and you got to get to know them a little bit. So you could, you know, and then towards the end, you know, I've had a lot of people come say, like, you know, this character was my favorite character out of the prey. You know, they're like, oh, I was sad when such and such died, you know? So I felt I reached people with that. I thought my actors were very good. I had an eye on these people for a long time. Most of them were friends, but most of these people also were people from other projects that I met. And, you know, some maybe have been really good. Some of them, these projects have been bad. But I was like, you know what? This person there is a good actor, and I like their attitude. I want to bring them forward. And when you're making a movie and you're filming 8 straight days and you have about 70 people in this thing, you need to also realize when you cast a movie, I brought this up a lot. I did not have auditions. I drafted all these people. I just called them, said, like, hey, I got a movie for you. I got a great role from you. I really want you in my movie. And that's how I did it. And how I selected them also is, you know, you have your own friends, and you've got a group of friends that, you know, you love them, but you also know how they could be around other people. And you probably have another group of friends that, hey, I love both of these groups. You know, it'd be a nightmare if I got these two together in a room. I could never hang out with these two because they kill each other. You could hang out with them by yourself in each group at different times. But you know, it's just a bad mix. And you have to sit there when you're casting too, realizing that everybody's not out on camera at once, and they're going to be sitting together, and who knows if they're going to gel. And I had 0 issues with any of those actors. They all came in. It was very fun loving. A lot of those guys have worked together in other projects since. It was very well family orientated. We'll be doing a lot of behind the scenes videos coming up soon, including on the Blu-ray and everything, where you'll get to see all that. But you know, we're out in a really good location. We had a really good holding area. We had trailers. We had campers. We had kittens. We had puppies. Everyone brought their dog and stuff. So it was a really beautiful time. I was very proud. It was a very proud moment of my life. And like we shot mostly at night, so we didn't have to really get there until about 3 p.m. And I remember there was a lot of people that they all. I pulled into the location every day. You know, my biggest nightmare was when those people stayed over. Was like when I got out of the car, was everybody going to come running up and saying something happened? You know, between actors, or I don't want to work with this person, or I need to get wrapped now. You know, I'm gonna go home. It was just when I got out, hey, Loren, and that was great. Yeah, I was like, this is beautiful. So, and as as we wound down, as much as it's exhausting, I was getting sad, you know, because it was about to end. But it was great, and that was funny because I always said my first film, I would go low. You know, I'd be like, I'd probably just need a dozen actors for whatever I have. I'd rather start slow before I ever did something chaotic. And you know, then this comes up and I have 70 actors. So I was like, so talking about this jumping in and swimming, you know.
Yeah, that is a huge endeavor. And now that I have a perspective on all the work involved, because most filmmakers, as you had noted, they'll start off with a short film in an enclosed location, one set, 2 or 3 actors, and they start progressing once they get the experience. Wow, this turned out to be a whole different animal for you. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I mean, I hope I kind of brought, you know, I know there's a lot of origins, you know, I always tell everybody, you know, take Friday the 13th, 24, Battle Royale, Scream, Devil's Rejects, and Mad Max and shake it up. That's what you got in the dark military. But, you know, I tried to bring in new characters, you know, you got your Freys, you got your Jasons. I realized, you know, this isn't coming out under, under some Warner Brothers film, but, you know, I tried to bring characters in, and I tried to, especially with the women, I wanted girls in there too. I just didn't want a bunch of guys. And I tried to, just tried to bring in something, even with the cook and Mother Nature and everybody. You know, I just wanted like a new team. I just felt it's time for a new team. You know,
the cook. Oh, what a comedy relief he was.
He was great, and know what happens at the end during that speech. Like I was sitting there, I'm like, do I really want to do this during this dominant moment? But it goes over so well in the theater, and I think I'm kind of the first one to do that. Where like, here comes a pipe bomb, you know? You're just like
exactly. Oh, I mean, watching the film, I couldn't help but I'm a big video game a gamer. And I'm very much into the survival horror game, and watching the Dark Military, one video game that does come to mind, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but is Manhunt. This definitely had that vibe to it, and that's why I had noted in my review that it just needed that grittiness, because it just conjures like the kill scenes and the gore. Was there any, when you were constructing this film, was there any creative direction that you wanted to take it more grittier or more comedic, or just stay in the middle and have a perfect blend of the two?
That's what I was going for with the perfect blend. Here are my thoughts. When you try to take a movie too seriously and you try to say, these are my characters and they're petrifying, what you might find scary might come, I might find funny, So I said, well, I'm going to go for some scary moments, but especially my character, Barabbas, I knew he had to be mean. I think I pulled that off well, but I think with his dialogue, his dialogue is funny, at the same time. So I tried to do like a happy medium with that. Same thing with the girls, Delilah, who was just a musclehead, kick-ass machine, and then you had Jezebel, who was, the seduction, and pure sexy, you had her too. So you kind of want to mix a little bit of both in there. As far as gore, I don't know what your taste is in a movie, like a horror movie. I mean, when I was 14, to me, it was more blood the better. I want to
Exactly.
see guts getting ripped out, and all that.
Right.
You know what? As I got older, I didn't care about that anymore. I cared about story. I cared about production. What am I watching here? And for anyone out there that's like, hey, that's why my bread and butter. I like gore. I'm not talking down to you. It's just not my thing. And we had some gore scenes in this movie, but at the same time, to stop and do 26 in-depth, deaths, you're really going to slow your movie down. And on the budget that we had, which was cool, we could have fell behind. So that's where you have the classic neck break, or they run into the camera, and there's a lot of ways to do that. There were a couple more deaths in the movie that I didn't want it to end that way, but you run close on time and you got to substitute. You got to end the scene. But I was never a person that was all about like blood. No, that's not what I go for at movies. I'm also looking to kind of be one fist in the gutter, one fist in the gold. I love to be around the horror movie department, but I also want my my range that I could work clean too, that I could not just do horror movies. I want to be able that door opens. I think some people that commit and there's too much blood and there's too much sex and penis everywhere. Just like you can typecast yourself.
Exactly.
And not be qualified for to be in another to be hired for another project. I want to have my options open. I do want to keep sticking with horror, but I also am a big fan of comedy too, and I'm a big fan of drama. So it's kind of funny. I'm not a fan of action movies, and then technically, you could put my movie in the action department as well. So like
Yes, it does fall into that.
I would say like hey, look what I did. But
And I find that hard to believe you're not into action. I'm looking over your IMDb. You do stunts as well.
Yes, I do. Well, I've been in martial arts for a long time, like Wing Chun Kung Fu through Grandmaster Randy Williams. I trained with Ted Wong and Dan Lee, who trained under Bruce Lee after he passed on. They've since passed away too. I've trained with Frank Shamrock. I've trained with Shogun. Judo Gene LaBelle. I've made my rounds. So, and I was a professional wrestler, so I know how to bump. So I was in part of the stunt crew for Death House. Was like my last time I did anything, and I helped choreograph obviously the big end scene with the Dark Military. And one of those girls two of those people are professional wrestlers, and there's a few martial artists, and then there was a few others that didn't have any training, but so we still came up with something for them.
That must have been very difficult, especially when someone does not have there has to be an art in order to pull your punches, so that way the person that I call it a dance, because if you're tossing a punch, they have to react in a certain way.
Yep. And it's kind of funny because this is like there's a lot of fights at the end. So I kind of made captains, like, okay, you're going to lead the fight, and then I'd watch them go through it. And my producer and editor Steve Carino, we've choreographed the fight with the beats to the theme song, because we had we have our own theme song for this movie and original film score. So if you ever revisit the film, if you really pay attention to each hit, it's like on each riff, of drum beats of when they connect it. Like we want to really, really make sure that song went with the fight. The same thing where Quentin Tarantino contacted Metallica for Kill Bill, and he explained that to him, that big scene, at the end when the bride's fighting the 88s. It's like, I want you to write a song for me. And we're going to, a Metallica song for me, and we're going to choreograph the fight around it. And the Metallica guys laughed at him because they didn't understand what they were talking about. So they turned it down. So, and then I think they played that 70s song, no. When Metallica guys went to watch the movie and they were loving it, when that part came on, they all face palmed. Because now they understood and said, oh, shit, we could have did that.
Exactly. They could have been immortalized.
So, yeah, so, human error, but For my first film, I'm extremely happy with it. It is set up for a trilogy. They tell you that at the end, that there's a whole script been rewritten. I built the characters, and I have the script. Good to go. I have some money for the sequel. I am not where I'd like to be right now, budget-wise. We'll get there. I kind of in a stress-free, better stress, less stress for me is if I could actually do another film, because the Dark Military Part 2 is going to need about 200 people in it. And I don't know if I want that workload yet. If the money comes, okay, let's do this. But I'd rather do another project first before we get back to that. And I think the longer I wait, I could get a better audience, even a bigger audience. Because one thing we did was we took, we'd go to the horror movie conventions. I rent a table and we're showing the movie trailer and we're giving out mugs, T-shirts, stickers. You're meeting the cast and you're building an audience that way. For all the independent filmmakers out there listening, if you're just gonna roll the dice and make a Facebook page and you make a trailer on YouTube and hope it catches fire,
it's not gonna work.
You're gonna fail.
Exactly.
You have to go above and beyond.
Right.
You do. You've got to go out. I mean, I drove to Atlanta for the Days of the Dead convention. I mean, a lot of conventions, even comic book conventions, the Wizard World. I mean, you just got to go. And, we made cards up and everything, with all the characters on it and on the backs, the website and everything. And that's how I built the audience for this. And that's why I have, people writing me on my page. Hey, when's it coming out? Hey, when's it coming out? Like, yeah, we're getting ready. We're still doing the film fest run, as I said earlier. But, that's how you build an audience. You got to go out there and meet the people, so where they could say, like, I like these people. I'll keep up with it. You know what? Sometimes maybe they're going to throw your card out. You never know. But you just can't say, hey, like my page on Facebook. I've had people write me for my film festival and be like, hey, my film's on fire. And then they send me a link to their Facebook page and they got 74 likes. I'm like, you sure you're on fire? Because I just Googled you and there's nothing on you or this movie. So that's a whole other world, running a film festival, because you're loved and you're also hated.
Right.
And you get hated when you hit the deny button. They take it personally.
Right. Of course. And that all goes back to our earlier conversation about being thick-skinned and having that type of a character. And I enjoy your perspective on marketing your product. You have I'm not going to say dying, because with the technology now that's readily available, everyone is relying on social media. No one is really paying attention to going out, grinding every day, pushing your product, printing out flyers, putting them on the cars. There has to be that old school type of way of marketing your product, not just Instagram, Facebook, and all these other platforms. You have to go out and definitely talk to the people, network, even do stuff for free, so that way you could get your word out. These are very important tactics for filmmakers, aspiring filmmakers. That is a dying art that should not be unrecognized.
Thank you, and you're right. And people like you, we only talked like a week and a half ago, but you bring up a podcast, yeah, absolutely, I'll do that. All these things matter. When I post this, and you post this, my fans come your fans come my fans, or at least they gave a listen to it. That's how you grow. You have to make yourself available. Sometimes, you might not sleep the way you want to sleep for a few weeks. You have to do it. You have to go above and beyond. Every review. I mean, my film company's name is AverageSuperstarFilms.com. I literally have, I think it's 50 pages now. Okay, there's a drop bar to go. And I have that all for my film festivals. There's 20 pages for that. Liberty Massacre, there's 5 pages for that. Myself as an actor, there's 6 pages for that. For the Dark Military, there's 6 pages for that. One for the cast, one for all the interviews that I post. Because my God, we do a lot of behind the scenes interviews. But the Fuse TV, Fuse TV came to our movie set and, filmed the making of it. So there's a page for that. We did a music video. I don't know if you saw it, but I linked you to it. But we want to bring back the old music video, which is a lost art, and we did it literally a page out of the Guns N' Roses "You Could Be Mine" video, where the band's playing in a movie theater with our movie playing in the background, where the characters in the movie come in and watch themselves. It's like, hey, that might be us on the big screen. Yeah, it is. What the hell's going on? And by the end of their movie, their nightmare comes to life because the dark military is there with them in the movie theater. Like we made a story. So getting bands. There's a lot of bands involved with this movie: the Green Lady Killers and Animal House and Stormwatch, Bad Luck 13. We have Rockabilly in this. I've had 3 film scores from one from Philly, one from Jersey, and one from Italy. There's a lot. You've got to pull your network together. And I always tell people, these people come to me sometimes with scripts, and I hate saying these words. I'm going to sound like a dick, even though I didn't ask them to. They just kind of show up at your doorstep like, hey, I want my movie made. I want you to know I have no money. Will you read my script? And I'm like, dude, I'm an actor.
Right.
I'm an actor, and I run a film festival, and I direct my own movies. Like, I have 8 scripts between myself and Stephen Carino. Like, why are we going to do your script? We have 8. We want to get our own projects off the ground.
Exactly.
So, and I get people that come up with like, oh, I got a zombie film. I'm like, it's 2018. You want to do a zombie film? Like that's tainted. You got to. Zombies are going away. On the shelf for 10 years. So, before they can research, The Walking Dead's the last torch. And if anyone really pays attention, the zombies isn't what it's about anymore.
Right. It's all about drama now. Drama.
Yeah, and you know what? I love that. I think that's great. But so I always tell people, if anybody out there is like thinking about doing this, jumping into this, write a script where you have access to stuff. Like if your father owns a construction site, you might want to write something that revolves around that because you're going to be able to have access to that.
Exactly.
Have some good production value.
Right.
Or your parents own a law firm, or you just. There's people that come up to you and they're like, oh, I got this movie, and the city gets destroyed, and then the ocean wave knocks this out, and I'm like, you're about $20 million in.
Right.
And slow it down a little bit, buddy.
And that doesn't include catering. That doesn't include expenses, traveling.
Yeah, like when I came up with this film, I had a budget put aside for marketing alone. Like, hey, you've got to be able to reach people. I always tell people like that. Like, if they don't have money, I always say that it's a big question all actors should ask. What do you got for marketing? And if they look at you like a deer in headlights, they don't know what they're doing. I have to call them out on that. Like, you have to realize if you don't have money for marketing, how's it going to be seen? And marketing is stuff like this, but it's also you gotta go travel. You gotta go meet. It's a horror movie, especially. You have to go to conventions.
You have to,
because those fans that come to these conventions love horror, and they also have a thing where they want to see everything before everybody else. They want to be able to do the review before everybody else. Hey, you know what? I'm not talking down to that. I'm praising that. I don't think there's more loyal fans than horror fans, period, out there. So. You got to get out there and you got to meet them, and you can't say I'm tired. You just can't do that. Like I'm a single guy with a mortgage. I still get up every day and work a real world job, and then I come home and then this job starts. I've been home for a few hours, but this was penciled in, and I'm not saying that as I'm crying. I'm saying this because I enjoy this, but it's technically work at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Of course.
Yeah. You got to do it.
You have to, and the same thing comes from the online reviewer. For instance, my day does not end until 3 a.m. This is what I do. I interview, I review. The daily grind is, if it's something that you love, you have to put the effort into it for it to grow. Because if you don't, it's just gonna rot. And when you reach 80 years old, you're gonna have regrets, and that's the bad part.
And I've always said that when I was younger, between the wrestling, between the martial arts, between like all the concerts, good God, that's a whole different world, but I've seen literally everybody. Like, I don't want to say I missed out on anything. And one thing I want to say, like, if I ever leave film, if it just gets, it's more of a loss or I'm just burnt out, I hope to have a few more movies out before that time is done to at least say, like, okay, I'm satisfied. This is my second film. I did do a documentary called Pennsylvania Hardcore on all the punk and hardcore bands through the entire state of Pennsylvania back in 2014. I interviewed 200 people for that. And, that was a lot of work too.
Of course.
They get 200 interviews out of people to like go to their doorsteps, and I had to cross the entire state and still be working my main job.
That's dedication.
It was insane. And these were all my friends, but it's work.
Exactly.
If you're not going to put full effort into your work, well, then your project's not going to go anywhere.
Exactly. Just don't do it.
It doesn't have heart.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And let's talk before time runs out. I definitely enjoyed this conversation. The vibe is positive, and not only that, there's a lot of valuable information. So whoever's listening, if you're thinking about jumping into film, just pay attention, take notes. Liberty Massacre.
Yes.
Your other passion project. Give us some insight when it started and how it has been progressing over the years.
Okay, so this is going into its 5th year, and Freedom Shorts is in its 6th year. So for a while, all I was doing was Freedom Shorts, and that was like, one day festival. One's a comedy, one's a drama, one's an action, one's a cartoon, one's a horror. It was like changing channels and that event was like 3 to 4 hours. So I did that, and I kept saying, you know what, sooner or later, I want to go with my roots, and I want to jump in and start, an all horror one. So I did, and that went back 2000. So I went back and I opened up submissions, and I got a lot of them, and I was happy, and the event went over very well. The second one was probably the best and the favorite. We had the Truman invasion, so Lloyd Kaufman and everybody came in for that. And it was a live Kabuki Man's cocktail hour on stage, and we closed it with a film with Tyler Main called Take Two. But that event went over really well, and I do that once a year. And last year was the first time it went to a full weekend. So all my events, including Freedom Shorts in Philadelphia, is a full weekend where we do basically a 9-hour program, 3 different venues, 3-hour program each day. And there's cosplayers there, and in between all the short films, there's classic horror movie trailers, from the awesome to the worst, cheesiest bad thing that you'll ever see. Splatter University, Slumber Party Massacre 1 and 2. Everything's in there. Trauma stuff, like just the worst things you'd ever see, where you're just laughing in between. But the crowd responds to it really well, and each year we're growing. So that takes place at the Trocadero Theater in Philly, and it's going over really well. This year, I'm really, really trying to get a major guest, like a major horror movie icon at it. I just want to really beef it up. So talking to a few people, it all depends on numbers and everything. But if you're a short filmmaker, you could submit them at like Film Freeway. Just type in Liberty Massacre. You can check us out on Facebook, and you can see tons of videos. And AverageSuperstarFilms.com. Good God. I mean, everything's logged there. This show will be logged there, when the link's up. Like, I one thing about me is, you do something for me, like, I slap it up there forever,
That's good.
Forever, you know what I mean? So, always trying to make things happen. You got to stay aggressive. And, I'm hoping Liberty Massacre over the course of the next 10 years comes like Screamfest. I mean, I'm knowing that's like a big jump, but I got to start somewhere, and it's off, going well, and I only plan to move forward.
Of course. There's only one direction, and it's just a freight train straight ahead. Yep. When does Liberty Massacre, when does that start?
Right now, we're scheduled for, I think it's April 20th weekend coming up this year. So submissions are still open, and sometimes at that venue, it will happen way in advance, maybe next month. That date could get pushed a week before or a week ahead, but predominantly it's going to be April 20th weekend. So that's a full concert venue. So sometimes you get a big shark band that's coming in, and they're going to make way more money off of that. So they might ask me to move, but which is fine. I've done that before. I think 3 months in advance of notice, everyone will be fine.
Right. Well, there's always the opportunity to integrate the two, music and have a music performance during a film festival.
Yes, there is. There's a lot of doors open. One thing about it is I don't want my event just to be a film festival anymore. I want it to have like extra juice. Like I said, when we had Trauma there and everything, I want to beef it up. I have a live Rocky Horror at midnight. I don't know. Like there's a few ideas in my head, a few people I'm talking to, but that's far away. Right now, I'm still just pushing this film, and like you, I just wrote you anonymously, saw Decay. I was just like, hey, I'll write them and see that. You have to be aggressive with that. You just got to do anonymous. Hey, are you interested in watching this? You send the trailer. Say, hey, are you up for reviewing this film? Is this film that interests you? And a lot of people do get back to you, and then you get a lot of people that that don't do. I mean, maybe they're too busy, or maybe they're not really keeping up with their craft.
Exactly.
Maybe they don't. They're not really doing reviews after all. So.
Right, and to touch up on that, the tactic that you have to go out and to do the grind is also applied for social media. The only bad thing that could happen is you could get no response, or you could just get the reply no. But if you don't show the effort to promote your product, how are you going to get the product out there? Online distribution. This is the way you properly utilize social media, not just posting kitten pictures or those stinky faces. No, you want to market your product, you have to do the grind online as well.
You're going to get in what you put out, man. I mean, that's just anything in life, not just film. Like you can't just like sit back and say, I want to do this, and then go sit down in front of the TV, or go to your phone and get distracted over oh, cute girl made another post with like bunny ears on her head. Like that just doesn't cut it.
Exactly.
Especially if you're running, once you're the head person, like point blank, like I've always just been straight man up. If the dark military somehow fails, knock on wood, it doesn't. There's only one person that I can blame. It's myself. Because I did, I mean that's just how I look at things. Like the movie's gonna live and die through me because it's the director. I've seen so many other people's films fall apart. The directors have blamed other, they blame the actors, or they blame, it's just like, no, it's yours.
Precisely.
If your house burns down because you did something stupid in the kitchen, it's your fault.
Precisely. Well, you have made it this far. You went past the difficult stage, which is the editing, the filming, the principal photography, the script. So now it's just a grind, and I see these characters. They are very marketable characters, and I hope to see a sequel. We could even see a series about these characters. There's so many room for expansion just on these alone.
You might get a comic book yet. It's set up for a trilogy. Like that's the ending goal. I want a trilogy out of this. I think especially when you make a sequel, it means the first one was good enough. Obviously, so that there could be a sequel. So that's plan A. But I have everybody like knocking my door down. Like I want to be in the second. I want to be in the second. And they're like, bitch, I ain't done with the first one yet. I like right now I'm working. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to this new audience, and I hope and that's what it is right now is reviews and film festivals. And you know what? When you get in a film festival, you should go. You just got to make time to go. You need to meet that audience wherever it's at in the world. You need to be, because you want people to meet you. Like, oh, that's the director. Oh, yeah, he's one of the stars too, as well. And you want to take some cast members with you if you can. That's where I'm talking about the budget. Don't just have enough just to get by. Just to make the film. Like that's like building a house and not putting a roof on it.
Yeah, precisely.
Well, it's gonna get rained on and it's gonna fall apart now, isn't it?
Exactly. Right. Good philosophy, good parallel. Really quick, what is in store for you for your career aside from the dark military? What other projects you have in the works?
Don't want to, because then I'll get flooded with emails. but you obviously know about the Dark Military Part 2, and there's another script I have out there. It's a very dark drama that would be a lot easier to make, and I'm very drawn to doing that. But also, you've heard me drop his name, my partner, Stephen Carino, producer and editor, and the unsung hero of a lot of other things as well. He's got a lot of scripts, and I'm kind of hoping actually that he gets the ball. And, I have to answer to him. It'd be our project, but I'm hoping one of his gets picked up first. But basically, when it comes down to him and myself, whatever strikes first. There's still people that call me. They're interested in some of my scripts or his scripts, and it's whatever happens. It's just whoever I could date first is basically what it comes up with. The mentality.
Cool. And this is the difficult part of the interview, and we switch roles. I'm going to give you, the interviewee, the opportunity to come up with a question. It could be anything unrelated to horror or dark military. One question that you would like the audience to answer.
Okay, but here's one that could start a war. But I always say, what makes a good horror movie?
Right. We talked about
gore.
And
this is something just, what I mean? Like, you know and you don't know. This person likes a lot of gore. This one likes, the jump scares and the scary ghost stories. I mean, yeah, so that's a good question for your audience.
Good, thank you. And the easy part, here is an open platform where you could insert, well, you have over the course of the interview, but feel free to do it again. Social networking, where people could find you, where people could tune into Dark Military, so on and so forth.
Okay. My home for everything between Liberty Massacre, Freedom Shorts, myself, Loren W, Lepre, and the Dark Military. AverageSuperstarFilms.com. There's so much to watch, so many articles, so much to do. Please check that out. You can also check out Average Superstar Films on Facebook. The topic at hand, you've been hearing about it all night, the Dark Military. You can watch the trailers, a lot of videos, a lot of behind-the-scenes photos, you name it, our Fuse TV's coverage. Dark Military on Facebook. You could see all that. I know you guys are all on that. Basically AverageSuperstarFilms.com and the Dark Military. I just basically crushed everything to the AverageSuperstarFilms.com because when you have so many handles, like Dark Military, Pennsylvania Hardcore, myself, and as an actor, Loren W, Lepre, and Freedom Shorts and Liberty Massacre, I can't make 7 websites, so it's just all crunched to my main home, AverageSuperstarFilms.com.
There you go, the one-stop destination for everything horror and the Dark Military. And of course, some insights on your career so far. Congratulations. Once again, thank you for setting this time and speaking about this film. And of course, some backstory and rich information on how to really grind as an independent filmmaker.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. And thank you to everybody who's listening. We need, what you do, reaching this audience, and for the audience that's listening, you are our fans, and we got something really we hope that you like, and you are the heart and soul of the horror community, believe it or not.
Absolutely. This is the only genre. Everything's so flexible, and you could create a film in so many different types. It could be horror comedy, horror drama, and it all is acceptable.